Morning, sleepyhead. Lena's voice was soft but teasing as she nudged me with her elbow. The smell of coffee hit my nose before I opened my eyes. I smiled. You made breakfast again. You're spoiling me. Someone has to keep you alive before work eats you alive, she laughed. You've been staring at that laptop till midnight every day. I'm this close to a promotion, I said, pinching my fingers together. Just a few more weeks, and I'll finally prove I'm not just another intern. Lena slid the coffee toward me. You already proved yourself to me. Her lips curved, but her eyes flicked toward her phone for a second, barely noticeable, but it was there. I pretended not to see it. Then I'll make sure my boss notices it too. Imagine it, Lena, our own apartment, a wedding date, a life we actually built together. She smiled faintly. You talk like it's already happening. It will. I took a sip, grinning. You'll see. One day, people will look at us and say, that's what real love looks like. She gave a small laugh, but something about it felt restrained. You and your fairy tale endings, she said. Not everything works out that perfectly, Ethan. Hey, we've made it this far, haven't we? I leaned closer. You've been with me through everything. You're my good luck charm. Her smile tightened. Right. Your charm. Her phone buzzed again, lighting up the screen. She flipped it face down quickly. Work? I asked, trying to sound casual. Yeah, she said too fast. Daniel's been asking for those reports. Daniel King. My boss. The man who never smiled unless he was crushing someone's confidence. He can wait till office hours, I muttered. Lena shrugged. Not everyone runs on your schedule, Mr. Almost Promoted. I laughed it off, but a small chill crept into my chest. I told myself it was stress. That was all. Later, on the subway, I called her. Forgot to say I love you, I said. There was a pause. You're sweet, she replied. Not I love you too. Just you're sweet. When I hung up, the window caught my reflection, hopeful, smiling, maybe a little stupid. But I didn't care. Love, I thought, didn't need to make sense. At work, Daniel called me into his office. His grin was too wide. Ethan, still chasing that manager position? Yes, sir. I'm ready whenever. He waved a hand. Good. Stay sharp. Big changes coming. His phone buzzed, and his tone softened. Ah, Lena. Give me a second. He turned his chair slightly away. I froze. Lena. Why was she calling him? He ended the call quickly, as if nothing had happened. Where were we? Right, loyalty. Keep it up. My stomach nodded. It had to be work-related. She'd said Daniel wanted those reports. I forced a smile and left, ignoring the sting in my gut. That night, Lena and I met at our favorite diner. She looked stunning, red dress, hair pinned up. Big day? I asked. She laughed. Do I need a reason to look good for you? I smiled. You never do. We ordered our usual, grilled sandwiches, strawberry shakes. But halfway through, she looked distant, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. Lena? I said quietly. You okay? Just tired, she murmured. Work's been intense lately. Then take a break, I said. We could go somewhere this weekend. Just us. She hesitated. Maybe next month. There's a lot happening right now. Her phone buzzed again. I saw Daniel's name flash across the screen before she snatched it. Work again? I asked, my throat dry. Her smile faltered. Yeah. You know how demanding he is. Right, I said slowly. Just work. She looked at me, eyes softening. Ethan, you trust me, don't you? Of course I do. The words came out faster than I meant them to. She leaned across the table, touching my hand. Then don't overthink it. I hate when you get suspicious for no reason. I forced a laugh. You're right. I'm just tired. I want everything to be perfect. It will be, she said. One day. But her voice didn't sound like a promise. It sounded like a farewell disguised as comfort. On the walk home, silence followed us like a ghost. She stopped by the corner where our paths split. I'll text you when I get home, okay? I nodded. Want me to drop you off? No, it's fine. I'm meeting a client nearby. I hesitated. At this hour? She smiled, tired and distant. That's how the business world works, right? Late nights, no weekends. I laughed softly. Then I'm marrying the hardest working woman alive. She didn't answer. Just smiled, waved, and turned the corner. I stood there for a long time, staring after her, telling myself everything was fine. That love, real love, could survive small lies. But deep down, a whisper I didn't want to hear echoed in my head, you're losing her. I shook it off, heading home. Tomorrow would be better, I thought. It had to be. After all, I was building the life we dreamed of. I just didn't realize I was the only one still dreaming. I stood outside Lena's apartment, holding a bouquet of white lilies, her favorite. The rain had just started, soft at first, then heavier, soaking my shirt. I smiled anyway. She'll laugh when she sees me, I whispered to myself. She always does. I texted her, surprise dinner tonight. Don't make plans. No reply. I called once. Straight to voicemail. Twice. Still nothing. My chest tightened. Maybe she was asleep. Maybe she was still at work. My mind kept finding excuses while my gut whispered, don't call again. I called anyway. A man's voice answered. Hello. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. Who's this? I asked. Wrong number, he muttered and hung up. But I knew her voice wasn't in the background. No laughter, no explanation, just silence and that man's tone. Cold. Casual. I stood there, drenched, staring at my phone. My heart said to trust her. My mind said to see for myself. So I drove. Rain pounded against the windshield as I sped across the city. My knuckles turned white around the steering wheel. Every red light felt like punishment. My thoughts screamed. Don't assume. She's yours. She loves you. When I reached her building, I parked across the street. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, but my heartbeat was thunder in my ears. Then I saw it, Daniel King's car. Black, expensive, parked right in front of her gate. My breath caught. No, I whispered. It can't be. The door opened. Lena stepped out first, smiling, that smile I thought was only mine. Daniel followed, his hand brushing her arm. My stomach dropped. The flowers slipped from my hands into a puddle. She looked radiant under the streetlight, hair perfect, dress new, eyes glowing. She wasn't guilty. She wasn't surprised. She saw me. Ethan, she said flatly, as if I were an inconvenience. Daniel's smirk tightened. Didn't know you two still talked, he said. I couldn't move. Couldn't think. Lena, I whispered. Tell me this isn't what it looks like. She crossed her arms. You shouldn't have come here. Then tell me why you're with him, I said, voice shaking. Tell me you didn't lie to me. Daniel laughed quietly. You really didn't see it, did you? The office, the late nights, the texts, come on, Ethan. My throat burned. Lena, look at me. Please. She did, and her eyes were cold. Ethan, you'll never be enough for me. The words hit harder than any punch. My legs went weak. After everything. Everything, she cut in. You mean your tiny apartment? Your promises? Your dreams of becoming something one day? I'm tired of waiting for one day. Daniel gives me what I deserve, now. I stared at her, searching for a flicker of guilt, something human. Nothing. Daniel put an arm around her. You should leave, Cole. She's made her choice. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hit him, beg her, do anything, but my body betrayed me. I just stood there, soaked and silent. I loved you, I said finally. My voice cracked. Was that ever real? She looked away. Maybe once. But love doesn't pay bills, Ethan. Daniel smirked. Tough lesson, kid. My hands curled into fists. You're my boss, I said to him. You ruined my career, and now. He raised a brow. I didn't ruin it. You did. You got distracted. Lena's tone turned sharp. Don't blame him, Ethan. If you'd focused on being better, maybe we wouldn't be here. I swallowed hard. You mean if I'd been richer? Her silence was the answer. Rain started again, heavier this time. My voice trembled. You could have just told me. I didn't owe you that, she said softly. You were comfortable. I wasn't. You owe me honesty, I said. You owe me closure. She sighed. You're still the same. Always begging for words when silence says enough. Daniel opened the car door for her. We're done here. She stepped inside without another glance. The door shut. I watched their car disappear into the blur of rain and streetlights. My world didn't explode, it just went quiet. I don't remember getting back to my car. I don't remember driving. The city lights melted through the rain on my windshield. I couldn't cry. Couldn't breathe. Her words looped in my head, you'll never be enough for me. Every memory twisted like a knife. The dinners, the laughter, the late-night calls, all lies. By the time I reached home, the bouquet was just wilted stems and mud. I threw them in the sink and laughed, a hollow, broken sound. Congratulations, Ethan, I whispered to myself. You believed in forever. My phone buzzed. A message. From Lena. I'm sorry it had to end this way. Please don't make things hard. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Then I typed, don't worry. I won't make anything hard for you ever again. I deleted her number. The apartment felt too quiet. I sat on the couch, head in my hands. Was it all fake? I asked the silence. It didn't answer. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. The storm matched the one inside me, violent, endless, unforgiving. That night, something in me broke for good. I didn't just lose Lena. I lost the part of me that still believed love could save me. I'm sorry, Ethan, but the board made the decision. Daniel's voice echoed in my head long after he said it. I stared at him across his polished desk. You're firing me? After 3 years? He sighed dramatically. It's not personal. The company can't afford instability right now. Instability? I repeated. You spread the rumors yourself. He leaned back. Rumors spread themselves when people see a man fall apart over a woman. You should have kept your emotions private. My hands trembled. You took her from me, Daniel. He smiled slightly. She chose. That's not the same thing. I wanted to punch that smirk off his face. Instead, I forced a bitter laugh. One day, you'll choke on your arrogance. I'll take my chances, he said, turning back to his computer. Security will escort you out. Maya found me that evening, sitting outside the cafe we used to visit after work. Ethan, she asked gently. What happened? I tried to smile. Let's just say my career ended faster than my engagement. Her eyes softened. He really fired you? Yeah. Said I was unstable. Funny thing is, he's right. I can't think straight anymore. You've barely slept, she said. You're pale. I can't sleep, I admitted. Every time I close my eyes, I see her. Laughing. With him. She placed her hand over mine. You can't keep doing this to yourself. I stared at the streetlights flickering on. Do you know what it feels like to lose everything? To wake up and realize every plan you made was built around a lie. She didn't answer. The silence said enough. Days bled together. I stopped checking the clock, stopped answering calls. The apartment grew darker with every unpaid bill. Ryan, my brother, called once. Ethan, come stay with me for a bit. I'm fine, I lied. You don't sound fine. I just need time, I said. Time fixes everything, right? He sighed. Time fixes what's still alive. Don't bury yourself before it's over. I hung up. I didn't want to be saved. Not yet. I saw Lena on social media a week later, smiling beside Daniel, diamond bracelet on her wrist, champagne in hand. The caption read, "New beginnings with my forever." I threw my phone across the room. It shattered against the wall. Forever, I whispered. That's what she said to me too. Maya showed up the next day with groceries. You haven't eaten, she said. I'm not hungry. You've lost weight. You look like you haven't seen sunlight in days. Maybe I'm allergic to happiness now. Ethan, she said firmly, stop punishing yourself for their sins. I looked at her, eyes hollow. You think this is punishment? This is survival. Breathing hurts less than remembering. She exhaled, frustrated. Then find a reason to breathe for something else. Like what? Like proving them wrong. I shook my head. They already won. Not yet, she said quietly. You're still breathing. That means the story isn't over. Her words lingered after she left, circling my thoughts like smoke. The story isn't over. That night, I went to the river. The same place Lena and I used to walk when life felt possible. I sat on the edge, shoes sinking into the mud. The city lights blurred on the water's surface. For the first time, I wondered if it would hurt, to just let go. My reflection trembled in the ripples. You ruined everything, I whispered. The reflection stared back, wet hair, hollow eyes, nothing left of who I was. I leaned forward, watching the water darken beneath me. Would anyone even care? Stop, I muttered to myself. You're not that weak. The words cracked as they left my mouth. I didn't believe them, not yet. But then I saw it, my reflection again, trembling but still there. Broken, yes. But breathing. I sat back slowly. You're still here, I said aloud. You're not done. The rain started again, light against my face. I let it fall. For once, I didn't move. In that moment, I realized pain wasn't killing me. It was reshaping me. I looked at the dark sky and whispered, they took everything from me. But not this, not my will to rise. My voice steadied. One day, they'll see me again. Not like this. Not broken. The wind picked up, carrying the last of my tears away. I stood, heart still heavy but burning with something new, quiet defiance. I'll come back, I said to the night. And when I do, they'll regret ever knowing my name. The river didn't answer, but my reflection did, no longer a stranger. That was the night I stopped falling. Maya, I don't need fixing, I said, staring at the chipped coffee mug between us. She crossed her arms. It's not about fixing you, Ethan. It's about rebuilding you. I'm fine. You're broke, unemployed, and talking to your ceiling every night, she replied flatly. You're not fine. I smirked weakly. Wow. Confidence booster of the year. Good. You'll need that sarcasm when you meet Mr. Grant. Who's Mr. Grant? An investor. Old school. Brutally honest. But he likes people who've lost everything. Then he'll love me, I muttered. She smiled faintly. Be at his office tomorrow at 10. And wear something that doesn't scream rock bottom. The next morning, I stood in front of a glass building downtown, clutching a borrowed tie. My reflection looked nervous but alive. I took a deep breath and went in. Mr. Grant's office smelled like oak and experience. He sat behind a massive desk, silver hair, sharp eyes that missed nothing. He didn't look up when he spoke. You're the one Maya mentioned. Yes, sir. Sit. I did. He glanced at my resume, what was left of it. You used to work under Daniel King. Yes. He smirked. And now he owns half the city. Good for him, I said, though my tone betrayed me. Mr. Grant finally looked at me. Still angry? Less angry. More motivated. Motivation dies when comfort returns, he said. Pain, however, pain lingers. It sharpens you. I frowned. That sounds poetic for a business lesson. It's not poetry. It's profit, he said. Pain is fuel, if you know how to burn it. Something in me shifted. Then teach me how. He studied me for a moment, then nodded. You start Monday. The first few weeks were brutal. Numbers, strategies, long hours, I failed more than I succeeded. One evening, I threw the reports on my desk and groaned. This makes no sense. Mr. Grant walked in. What doesn't? Everything. I can't see the pattern. He picked up the papers. That's because you're looking for logic in chaos. You have to listen, not just calculate. Listen to what? To what the numbers want to do, he said, tapping the page. They're like people, they follow trust and fear. Learn that, and you'll lead. I stared at him. You make business sound like psychology. Business is psychology, he replied. People don't invest in numbers. They invest in belief. That stuck with me. Months passed. I stopped checking my phone for old messages. Stopped replaying that night in my head. The pain didn't vanish, it hardened into focus. Maya noticed it first. You look different, she said one evening at the cafe. Older? I teased. Wiser, she said. Maybe even dangerous. I laughed. Guess I'm learning how to burn it. She grinned. Mr. Grant's words. Yeah. They're starting to make sense. Her smile softened. I'm proud of you, Ethan. I hesitated. You're the reason I even met him. Don't thank me, she said. You're the one doing the work. By the end of the first year, I was managing small portfolios. By the second, I was negotiating deals. By the third, Mr. Grant called me into his office again. He poured 2 glasses of scotch and handed me one. You know why I like you, Ethan? Because I don't argue back. I guessed. He chuckled. Because you listen. You take the hits, learn, and come back sharper. I didn't have a choice, I admitted. Losing everything leaves you with 2 options, give up or rebuild. And you chose the right one. I didn't choose it, I said quietly. It chose me the night I saw my reflection and didn't look away. He studied me for a moment. Good. Then you're ready. For what? To run this place when I'm gone. I blinked. You're serious? As a heart attack, he said. I've watched dozens chase money. You chased meaning. That's rarer. I didn't know what to say. My throat tightened. I don't deserve that kind of trust. He raised an eyebrow. You've earned it. You burned the pain, now use the fire. That night, I stood on the balcony of my apartment, the same one I once couldn't afford, looking out over the city. Maya called. So, how did it go? I smiled. He wants me to take over. She gasped. You're kidding. No, I said, the words sinking in slowly. I'm going to be the youngest CEO of Grant Holdings. She was quiet for a second. Ethan, you did it. I looked at the skyline. Not yet. But I'm close. She laughed softly. What does it feel like? I thought about it. Like I finally turned heartbreak into power. And Daniel? She asked carefully. I exhaled. He's just another lesson now. Good, she said. You finally sound free. I smiled. Maybe I am. The city lights shimmered below, every one of them a reminder of how far I'd come. 3 years ago, I was broken by love. Now, I was building an empire out of the ashes. I whispered to myself, they thought I was finished. But this is only the beginning. When I stepped into the lobby of King Enterprises, the marble floor reflected my shoes like a mirror. 3 years ago, I'd walked out of this building with nothing. Now, I was back, owning it. The receptionist looked up, confused. Sir, can I help? I'm here for the acquisition briefing, I said, smiling. Ethan Cole, CEO of Grant Holdings. Her mouth fell open. Oh, of course, Mr. Cole. Mr. King is waiting in the conference room. I nodded. Perfect. As the elevator doors closed, I caught my reflection in the mirrored walls, calm, precise, untouchable. But inside, my heartbeat pounded like a drum. Not fear, electricity. The top floor smelled the same, expensive coffee, ambition, and arrogance. I pushed open the conference room doors. Daniel King turned. His confident grin vanished. Ethan. Good morning, I said evenly. Looks like we'll be working together again. He blinked. You're with Grant Holdings. I walked to the head of the table. Not with. I am Grant Holdings. The room fell silent. Board members shifted awkwardly. Daniel forced a laugh. Impressive. Really? I didn't think you had it in you. Most people didn't, I replied, sliding the contract toward him. But here we are. Lena entered a moment later, late as always. Her heels clicked across the floor until she froze mid-step. Her voice trembled. Ethan. I turned, meeting her eyes. Lena. It's been a while. She looked pale. You're the CEO. Yes, I said, keeping my tone steady. Grant Holdings has officially acquired King Enterprises. Congratulations, you're now part of my company. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Daniel muttered, this merger doesn't change the internal hierarchy. I smiled faintly. Actually, it changes everything. But don't worry, I'm not here to humiliate anyone. Business first. He clenched his jaw. You came to gloat. I tilted my head. If I wanted to gloat, Daniel, I'd have done it years ago. I came to rebuild what you nearly destroyed. Lena whispered, Ethan, please. I raised a hand. Relax. I'm not the man you knew. That one died the night you got into his rival's car. Her eyes glistened. I didn't mean to hurt you. I gave a soft laugh. You meant something, Lena. Just not loyalty. The meeting resumed, filled with awkward silence and the rustle of papers. I spoke numbers and percentages, but my mind kept replaying their faces, his disbelief, her regret. Every time Daniel tried to interrupt, I shut him down with data. At one point, he leaned toward me. You think you've won? I kept my eyes on the papers. No, Daniel. Winning would mean stooping to your level. I just built higher. He slammed his pen down. Don't act righteous. You wanted revenge. Once, I admitted. But revenge is temporary. Legacy lasts longer. The room went quiet again. Lena fidgeted beside him, whispering, Daniel, stop. He ignored her. You'll regret crossing me, Cole. I looked straight at him. I already did, once. I don't make the same mistake twice. After the meeting, I stepped out into the corridor. Lena followed. Ethan, wait. I turned slowly. What could you possibly say that matters now? Her voice cracked. I was young, scared. Daniel promised me everything. I thought you'd never make it. I stared at her for a long moment. You were right. The old me wouldn't have. Tears welled in her eyes. Do you still hate me? I shook my head. No. Hate means you still have power over me. She bit her lip. Then why are you so cold? Because warmth is for people who didn't throw me away. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. Don't, I said quietly. Not now. Ethan, please. I made a mistake. So did I said. I trusted you. Her tears fell, one by one, onto the marble floor. For a second, I almost pitied her, then I remembered the night it all ended. As I left the building, the whispers followed me. Is that him? The new owner? Used to be one of us. Every word felt like a silent victory song. Maya was waiting in the car outside. She smiled. How did it feel? I exhaled slowly. Like walking through a ghost town that once owned me. And now? Now it's mine. She studied me. You don't sound happy. I'm not, I admitted. I'm peaceful. There's a difference. She nodded. You don't want revenge anymore, do you? No, I said, watching the rain streak down the window. I just wanted them to see what they lost, and what I became without them. Maya smiled softly. Then you've already won. I looked at the city skyline, the one I'd once stared at from a park bench, broke and hopeless. Yeah, I whispered. I finally have. The car pulled away, and the King Enterprises logo faded in the mirror behind me, a memory buried under the weight of my new empire. I sat in my office, the skyline stretched before me like a silent audience. The reports on my desk weren't just numbers anymore, they were proof. Sophia stepped in quietly, her expression tense. I closed the door. No one can hear us. Good, I said, leaning back. Tell me everything. She hesitated. Daniel's been siphoning company funds for years, fake invoices, ghost accounts, overseas transfers. I found the trail. I looked at her. You're sure? Positive, she whispered. I've been compiling the evidence. It's all here. She slid a flash drive across the table. I picked it up, turning it between my fingers. Why tell me? Because he made me lie for him, she said bitterly. And because I know you'll do something about it. I nodded. I will. Her voice dropped lower. You're not afraid. Fear's a luxury I stopped affording years ago. Sophia smiled faintly. You've changed. Pain does that, I said. It burns away what's weak. Later that day, Lena appeared at my door. She was dressed impeccably, just like old times. Her perfume reached me before her words did. "Ethan," she began softly, "can we talk?" I didn't look up from my screen. "We're talking." She sighed. "Not like this. I miss when you actually looked at me." I raised an eyebrow. "You mean before you traded me in for a bigger paycheck?" Her lips trembled. "I made a mistake." "Which part?" I asked. "The betrayal or the pretending it wasn't one?" She frowned. "You're still angry?" "No," I said, finally meeting her eyes. "I'm observant. There's a difference." She stepped closer. "Ethan, I'm trying to make things right. By coming to my office uninvited?" I said flatly. Her tone cracked. "You don't understand, Daniel isn't who you think he is." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I replied. "The question is, do you?" She blinked. "What do you mean?" I smiled faintly. "Let's just say the walls are thinner than you realize." For a moment, panic flickered across her face. "Are you implying something?" "I don't imply," I said, standing. "I prove." She crossed her arms. "You're scaring me." "Good," I said quietly. "Fear is honest." That night, I reviewed Sophia's files, every transaction, every forged signature, every lie. Daniel had built his empire on sand, and the tide was rising. The next morning, I called him into my office. He walked in with his usual swagger, adjusting his cufflinks. "What's this about?" I gestured to the chair. "Sit." He smirked. "Still giving orders like you own the place." "I do own the place," I said calmly. "That's why this conversation is happening." He laughed. "You sound serious." "I am," I said, sliding the folder toward him. "Take a look." He opened it, then froze. His color drained. "What is this?" he demanded. "Your past catching up," I said. "Ghost accounts. False invoices. The numbers don't lie." His jaw clenched. "You can't prove anything." I leaned back. "You're right. I can't. But the board can, once I forward the files to them." He slammed the folder shut. "You wouldn't." I smiled. "Wouldn't I?" His eyes burned with rage. "You're bluffing." "Try me," I said, voice steady. "You built this company by stepping on others. Consider this gravity returning the favor." He stood up sharply. "If you do this, you'll destroy King Enterprises." I rose too. "No, Daniel. You already did. I'm just letting the truth breathe." He glared at me. "This is personal." "It used to be," I admitted. "Now it's justice." He left without another word, slamming the door behind him. A few hours later, Lena barged back in. "What did you do?" "Something overdue," I said. "You can't ruin him like this," she cried. "He'll lose everything." I looked at her coldly. "So did I." She shook her head. "You don't understand, he's desperate. He'll drag you down with him." "Then I'll drag him deeper," I said simply. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Ethan, please. Stop this." "Why?" "Because the man I loved wouldn't do this." I met her gaze. "The man you loved wouldn't survive this world." She whispered, "You've become cruel." "No," I said quietly. "I've become equal." When she left, I stood by the window again, watching the lights of the city flicker like faint confessions. The storm I once feared was now mine to command. Every deal, every word, every silence, I controlled them all. They used to think I was weak because I felt too much. Now, I used what I felt to break their illusions. Sophia entered briefly. Is it done? Almost, I said. Tomorrow, the board sees everything. She nodded. And after that? After that, I said, staring at the skyline, the kingdom falls. She smiled faintly. And you? I rebuild again, I said, but this time, without rot in the foundation. That night, I sat alone in the dark, the city humming below. For once, I didn't feel anger, only clarity. They'd mistaken my silence for surrender. But silence, I realized, is the sharpest blade. Tomorrow, I would strike, not for revenge, but for truth. And when the dust settled, they'd finally see who I'd become. The morning started with silence, the kind that comes before a storm. My phone buzzed non-stop, notifications, calls, breaking news alerts. Daniel King, fraud, embezzlement, insider trading. His name was everywhere. Maya burst into my office. You did it, she said, breathless. It's all over the news. I leaned back, pretending calm. No, Maya. He did it. I just turned on the lights. She shook her head, half in awe, half in disbelief. You've been planning this for months, haven't you? Planning? No, I said, pouring coffee. Preparing. There's a difference. From the hallway, chaos echoed, shouting, footsteps, phones ringing off the hook. The empire Daniel built on lies was crumbling in real time. Sir, my assistant said, peeking in, the board's calling for an emergency meeting. Daniel's been escorted out. Good, I said. Tell them I'll join in 10 minutes. The door closed. I looked out at the skyline. 3 years ago, I'd stared at the same city, drowning in despair. Today, it was watching him fall. When I walked into the conference room, eyes turned to me, fear, relief, confusion. Grant Holdings will handle this transition, I announced. Transparency and accountability from here on out. A director asked quietly, what about Daniel? I met his gaze. Let justice do its part. The meeting ended quickly. People scattered like leaves after a gust. And then, her voice. Can I come in? I didn't need to turn around. I'd know that tone anywhere. Lena. She stepped into my office, eyes red, makeup streaked. Her designer bag trembled in her hand. I didn't know it would go this far. Didn't you? I asked, my voice flat. No, she said, shaking her head. Daniel told me things. He said you. Stop, I cut in. Don't insult me with excuses. She took a step forward. Please, just listen. I made a mistake. You made several, I said. And you enjoyed them. Her lip quivered. I was stupid. I thought he was everything I wanted. The money, the status. I was wrong. You were, I said simply. She hesitated. I saw the news. He's finished. They're saying he'll go to prison. Her voice cracked. I didn't know where else to go. I studied her for a moment. The same woman who once walked away without looking back now stood trembling before me, stripped of everything she traded love for. Why are you here, Lena? I asked quietly. I miss you, she whispered. I miss us. Her words floated in the air, soft and heavy. For a second, a flicker of memory tried to crawl back, her laughter, her perfume, the warmth that once felt like home. But it dissolved just as quickly. There is no us, I said. She flinched, tears streaming down. I deserve that, I know. But I swear, I still love you. I almost laughed. Love? I repeated. You call that love? When I lost everything, you were sipping champagne in his penthouse. I didn't know what else to do, she cried. He said you were dangerous. That you'd lost your mind. And you believed him, I said. Because it was easier than believing in me. Her knees buckled, and she sank into the chair opposite my desk. I just want a chance to make things right. You can't, I said. What's broken isn't your relationship, it's your character. She looked up, desperate. Please, don't be cruel. I'm not being cruel, I said. I'm being honest. She reached across the desk, her voice trembling. Can't we start over? I leaned forward. Lena, you taught me something priceless. She blinked, hopeful. What's that? That love without respect is just illusion. Her expression collapsed. Don't say that. I just did. I stood, straightening my jacket. And I mean it. She covered her face, sobbing. I was wrong. You have no idea how much I regret it. Oh, I do, I said softly. I can see it all over you. There was a pause, long, sharp, and final. She looked up. You really don't feel anything anymore? I met her eyes. Nothing worth saving. Outside, cameras flashed through the glass. Reporters were waiting, hungry for Daniel's downfall story. Lena turned to look, startled. They're not here for you, I said. Not anymore. Her voice broke. Is this really it? Yes, I said. This is the ending you wrote. She stood shakily, clutching her bag. You've changed. I had to, I said. Pain demands transformation. As she moved toward the door, she stopped and whispered, I hope someday you'll forgive me. I looked past her, at the city glowing under the sunset. I already did. That's why you're still standing. She left. The door closed gently, almost respectfully. For a moment, I just stood there, staring at the reflection on the glass wall, not the broken man who once begged for love, but someone forged in fire. Maya entered quietly. You okay? I smiled faintly. Better than ever. She nodded. It's over, then. No, I said, watching the skyline burn gold. It's just beginning. I turned off the lights, letting the city's glow fill the room. The noise outside faded, reporters shouting, cameras flashing, but inside, there was peace. For the first time in years, I didn't feel anger, or grief, or longing. Just clarity. They took everything once, my name, my peace, my love. But tonight, I walked away with something they could never touch again. My freedom. The river looked different this time. The same place where I once sat, broken and ready to disappear, now calm, steady, alive. The water moved like it had secrets, whispering them only to those who'd survived long enough to listen. Maya walked up beside me, holding 2 cups of coffee. You still come here? She asked, handing me one. Sometimes, I said, watching the ripples. It helps me remember where it started. She smiled faintly. You mean where it almost ended? I nodded. Yeah. That too. For a while, we just stood there, listening to the water and the wind. No noise, no chaos, no Daniel, no Lena, just quiet. You know, she said softly, I didn't think I'd ever see you like this. Like what? Peaceful, she said. You used to carry that storm in your eyes. I chuckled under my breath. Guess I finally learned how to let it rain. She sipped her coffee. Was it worth it? Everything you did, the revenge, the rise, the fall. I thought about it, the sleepless nights, the battles, the ache that once consumed me. It wasn't about revenge, I said slowly. Not anymore. It started that way, but it ended as something else. Closure, she asked. Understanding, I replied. I needed to know who I was without the pain. Maya tilted her head. And did you find out? I smiled, faintly. I think I did. She laughed quietly. You always were stubborn. Even when you were at your lowest, I knew you'd come out of it somehow. You were the only one who did, I said. I believed in you, she said simply. Even when you didn't. The wind brushed through the trees, carrying the faint smell of rain. I took a deep breath, not to calm myself, but to feel. For years, breathing had been about survival. Today, it felt like living. Maya nudged my shoulder. So what happens now, Mr. CEO? I'm not sure, I said honestly. Maybe I'll take a break. Build something new. Something that isn't about proving anyone wrong. That sounds different, she teased. It is, I said. For the first time, I don't need to win. I just want to exist. She smiled. You've come a long way. From a man begging for love, I murmured, to one who doesn't need anyone's validation. Not even Lena's, she asked carefully. I turned to her. Especially not hers. She studied me for a moment, as if trying to see if I truly meant it. Then she nodded. Good. Because peace doesn't come from people. It comes from you. I looked back at the river. The water reflected my face, steady and calm. The last time I saw myself here, I was hollow, eyes full of questions, heart full of cracks. Now, the same reflection stared back with quiet certainty. I used to hate this place, I admitted. It reminded me of weakness. And now, she asked. It reminds me of strength, I said. Because I survived it. Maya smiled softly. You made it. I shook my head. No, I whispered. I became me. She exhaled, smiling wider this time. That's better than making it. Yeah, I said, smiling back. It is. We stood in silence again, watching sunlight scatter across the water. I could almost hear my old self, the broken version, sitting on this same riverbank, asking why everything had to fall apart. Now, I finally had the answer. It had to break so I could rebuild right. Maya looked at me with that knowing expression she always had. You ever think about them anymore? Sometimes, I admitted. Not with anger, though. Just, understanding. They were part of my story. Not the end of it. That's growth, she said. Maybe it's forgiveness, I replied. Of them? Of me, I said quietly. For letting them break me in the first place. Maya's eyes softened. You really have changed. I had to, I said. Peace isn't something you find. You build it. The wind picked up, gentle but certain. The river shimmered under the sunlight like it was listening. Maya finished her coffee and smiled. You ready to go? In a minute, I said. Just want to remember this feeling. Which one? She asked. The one where nothing's missing, I said. She nodded, walking a few steps ahead. Don't take too long. The world's waiting for your next chapter. I smiled to myself. For once, I whispered, I'm not rushing to write it. The river kept flowing, endless and free. I watched my reflection fade into the ripples and let the silence settle, not heavy, not empty, just whole. The story didn't end in love. It ended in self-respect. And that was enough. The envelope was thin, pale blue, smudged at the edges. My name written in a shaky hand I hadn't seen in years. Lena. For a long time, I just stared at it. The past seemed to hum beneath the paper, daring me to open it. Maya noticed. You've been holding that thing for 10 minutes, she said from across the room. Who's it from? I smiled faintly. A ghost. She raised an eyebrow. Do I need to call an exorcist? No, I said, tearing the flap carefully. This one already exorcised herself. The letter smelled faintly of old perfume, the same scent I once thought meant love. My eyes drifted over the words. Ethan. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. Life hasn't been kind since everything fell apart. I'm working at a small firm now, trying to start over. I think about you more than I should. You were the one thing I ruined that I can't replace. Maya's voice pulled me back. Bad news? I folded the letter slowly. No, I said. Just, overdue truth. From her. I nodded. Do you feel anything? She asked. I thought about it, really thought. The ache, the anger, the craving for closure, all gone. No, I said quietly. Not anymore. She smiled softly. That's peace. I placed the letter in the top drawer of my desk. It joined a few old notes, a photograph, and a single pen, relics of a life that wasn't mine anymore. Maya leaned against the doorway. You're not going to reply? I shook my head. Silence says more than any word could. She chuckled. That's cold. It's fair, I said. She taught me the language of silence. I'm just fluent now. The rain started outside, soft and rhythmic. I watched it trace paths down the window. Once, that sound had reminded me of endings. Now, it felt like balance. Maya glanced at me. So that's it? That's it, I said, closing the drawer. Karma doesn't shout, Maya. It whispers. I looked at the window one last time, at the reflection of a man who had lost everything and gained himself. And for the first time in years, I smiled without remembering why I shouldn't.